this crime, but the person is guilty anyway.
No.
And many times the only thing they were guilty of is being broke or being poor. Not even broke connotes that you had money and misspent.
But this guy is not even that. This guy was a businessman, and so he's the only thing that he actually may be guilty of is being black. And if you've got some prosecutors that have a chip on their shoulder for black men, forget it. You're going to be put through
or an ambition. They may not even have a chip on their shoulder. This is a means to an end for my career. I need another number.
Yep.
I need to have another notch on my belt. I mean,
or
innocence or guilt in some cases have nothing to do with it.
And then also, you've also got other people that may work alongside with these folks who have that maybe want their job, and so therefore will make up things about how they have acted and what they have done, and may say that they have done something that they didn't do just to get them out of the way because that person is competition.
And we become expendable. I mean, and
collateral damage.
And that is what makes me get up every morning and keep fighting whatever way I can, because I know that there are many that, could, if they could, they would fight. Let's thank you, Dr. Tatum. Let me thank my executive producer, Fatim Muhammad. The producer of this show was Nitha Khan. Technical producer, Lee Majors. Don't forget, Washington. Everybody has to show up. Voter rights is in trouble. The heart of it taken out. We're hearing what we got to do with black men. It's time to stand up. Go to nationalactionnetwork.net. Put your name on the list right now. nationalactionnetwork.net or call 1-877-626-4651. Remember, tonight and every night, Monday through Friday, watch me on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live on MSNBC. And remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
The views and opinions expressed on this broadcast are not necessarily those of WGCV 620 AM, its staff or management, or our parent company, Glory Communications Incorporated.
Get ready. Armstrong Williams is up next on WGCV 620 AM, where knowledge is power.
I'll never forget that moment.
Never forget that moment.
As long as I live.
As long as I live.
It started with a phone call.
I got the text when I was at work.
My first call up ever as a member of the National Guard. This was it, the real deal.
When we got to the armory, they briefed us on
the sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get the Henrys at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.
Soul food, Henry's soul food. What we need, soul food. Henry's soul food.
Welcome to the Armstrong Williams Show, brought to you by Golden Crust Bakery, the fastest growing Caribbean-owned franchise in the United States. Golden Crust is committed to the delivery of quality food and excellent customer service. Visit them today at goldencrustbakery.com. Hello? Anybody there? Hello? Anybody home?
We're all home.
Yoo-hoo!
We're all here.
Yoo-hoo!
So good to be with you again.
Is everybody home?
We're all home.
Is Cousin Thelma?
Doing women's work.
Is Cousin Thelma there?
Cousin Thelma's here. Right and ready.
Is Cousin Bobby? Has she shown up, Cousin Thelma?
Yoo-hoo!
Yoo-hoo! Is that Cousin Bobby?
That's Cousin Bobby. I saw her.
That's Cousin Bobby, right?
Cousin Bobby, how you doing, cousin? I haven't talked to you in about a week.
That's right, and I've missed you.
Oh, Cousin Bobby. Oh, the family's back together. Cousin Thelma, how have you been? How's your health, Cousin Thelma?
I have to tell you, I've been great. I have continued my 80th birthday celebration all week since I last talked to you.
I think it's going to go on all year.
Oh, it's beginning to seem like all year.
Well, at least I know my cousins are still among the living.
Oh, more than living.
That we are. At least for today.
Oh, you all can tell I'm just so happy with my family. My cousins have made it back home, and we get a chance to talk to America. Cousin Bobby, tell them where you are today.
Tell me what I am today?
Where are you today, Cousin Bobby? What state are you in?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm doing very well.
No, not the state of mind. What state are you broadcasting from today?
Oh, what's that? I'm broadcasting from the state of Pennsylvania.
Oh, you're in Pennsylvania. What part of Pennsylvania, cuz?
Philadelphia.
And where are you, Cousin Thelma?
I happen to be in the same town today, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, home of the Liberty Bell.
I'm going to really make my cousins uncomfortable today.
Oh, here he goes.
Oh, yes.
Here he goes.
It is about to get
serious. It may be
serious.
uncomfortable, but it's always provocative and it's always stimulating.
It's about to get serious up in here. Oh, let me tell you. Because you know what? I want my cousins to take me back to the 40s and the 50s. Because you all have been reading about Cousin Paula.
Yes.
Have you all been following Cousin Paula?
Oh, yes.
Cousin Paula has been on an apology tour, cousins. And
it hasn't really resonated with me, and I'll be glad to tell you why.
Well, no. You don't know where we're going, cousin. We're going to have a family conversation here because we want to try to put in perspective what Cousin Paula said 30 years ago. We want to talk about the evolution of the N-word today.
Okay.
Yes. You all know what the N-word is. We're not going to use it.
We don't have to use it.
You know, we do not use the N-word in polite company.
Listen.
So
we don't use it in any company.
That's what I want to hear. Thank you. See, my cousin's on it today. Oh, yeah, cousins, because cousins knows everybody's listening.
That's right.
But anyhow, I want to tell you, I have never used the N-word.
I believe that.
I have never used it. But listen.
I believe I have never used the N-word.
Now, are you sure, Cousin Bobby?
I have not used the N-word. I cannot remember using the N-word.
Now,
I can't remember. It was never heard in my home.
Never heard in my home.
Neither was it in mine.
Not in my home.
No.
Not in my home. But you've heard others use it.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Not often, though.
Well, wait a minute. I want you to take us back to when you first heard the N-word and the feeling you had and what that person was conveying. And talk about the period. We're going to start with you, Cousin Thelma.
Yeah. I'll tell you. I don't remember ever in school ever hearing anyone. When I say school, I mean through college. And I really became aware of it when Dick Gregory wrote a book using the N-word as the title.
Wow.
And he said, and I never got over hearing him say in an interview that he called it that word because his mother said to him, call it by that name, and then every time someone uses that word, they're going to be advertising your book.
Wow, now that's a powerful story.
That's quite a story, isn't it?
Did you read the
Yes.
book?
I did, but it's been so many years I don't even remember the content. But he was a very clever, funny writer.
Oh, yeah.
When did you first hear it, Bobby?
Well, I'm trying to think. I certainly was aware of the word, but I was always aware, and I can't tell you when I first was aware of the word, but I can tell you that I was always aware of the fact that it was not a word that you would say, any more than I would say any other word that was not okay to say. And now we're going back to the 40s. So we're going back to when I was a child and in my house. This was not a word that was ever usable. I'm not even sure I knew that word when I was a child. I don't remember that I can't say that I even knew that word.
I think maybe one conscious moment also came when there were a couple of movies in which, and they were rare in those days, when it was rare that you saw an African American. Brock Peters, who was a wonderful actor, was in one of those early movies in which anyone even talked about real life use of that word. And I can't remember the name of the movie. But I think it's remarkable that I remember the name of the actor.
Well, I do remember, I was always very interested in words. Etymology was always something that I loved to study about and read about and all of that. And I do remember when I finding out that the word nigra was the way Southern people pronounce the word Negro, and that's where that word came from.
Yeah.
That is one of my earliest memories, and of course I was certainly a teenager, possibly in college, I don't know, maybe high school, when I first came across that understanding of where the N-word came from.
So it is.
Were you aware of it, Armstrong?
Of course, I was aware of it.
And you heard it around you?
Not in the household, but listen. I don't listen to rap music, but sometimes you can turn the radio on and something is playing, and you want to hear the lyrics, and you use the N word and the B. And then here's the sad part about it. Just to be candid. I don't hear it from as much from a lot of the young people as I do from a lot of the intellectuals who use it so casually and frequently. I remember this, and I everyone knows this story. Jesse Jackson was a guest on my radio show in New York once, and he was condemning someone about the N-word. And I said, you're such a hypocrite. How can you sit here and condemn someone about the N-word and use it like it's the English language? And he immediately paused and apologized and said, you're absolutely right. I mean, they use it like it's nothing. I can sometimes be on a television show and on the IFB, and when we go to break, they just start talking to each other, depending on who's on the show in that language. And I just said, it would blow. It's the intellectuals that use it. I mean, look at the entertainers. It's the people who are successful. They use it like it's like a poison. And to me, it's just so offensive. But yes, it's all around you. I mean, listen, you can go. I could be on a tour somewhere for a class if I'm speaking, and they're showing me the playground. And you could have Latino, black, and white kids out playing together, and they're referring to each other as the N-word. It's no big deal. It's how they communicate. And they say it's affection.
You think, when you say that, it makes me wonder if some of that, I think I'm getting feedback.
I'm getting feedback, too. I don't know where that's coming from. But go ahead, keep talking.
Can you hear me okay now?
I hear you well. Go ahead.
Great, thanks. I'm just wondering if there was some deliberate, when you say these intellectuals, I know what you're talking about, but I wonder if some of them thought, as Dick Gregory did, that by confronting people deliberately with the word, they would somehow take the sting out of it, which of course they did not. But I wonder if that's the intention. If I use it, a kid will maybe think, well, if I use it, you can't use it against me.
I want us to come back to that. Dr. Thelma Reese, Dr. Bobby Fleischer, we're talking about the N-word. The phone lines are open. 1-866-620-6620. We'll be back.
Say bye-bye burgers, pass on the pizza, forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Cross's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, oxtail, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean. Only at a Golden Cross near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrossBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams. What does it mean to be conservative? Freedom of speech, freedom of free enterprise, freedom of assembly, less government, less taxes. As a matter of fact, a flat tax. Everyone should pay proportional tax. It doesn't matter whether you make $100 million or $10,000. Everyone should pay their 10%. Everyone should have something at stake in this American economy. I'm Armstrong Williams expressing what we mean by conservative traditional value.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Welcome back to everyone to the show. Dr. Thelma Reese, Dr. Bobby Fleischer, and we're talking about the N-word. It's interesting. The word originated as a neutral term, referring to black people as a variation of the Spanish, Portuguese, where they used Negro, and we mentioned that area. In the Spanish, and what happened, some of the descendants of the Latins used this adjective called Niger. There's a Niger Delta. They call it the Niger Delta, and it's about the color black, and so it's often used slightly. But by the mid 20th century, particularly here in our country, it suggested at its target, it really became extremely unsophisticated, and its usage had become sort of unambiguously pejorative, sort of a common ethnic slur usually direct that blacks are of sub-Saharan African descent, and so obviously the word is it's a very powerful word. But how do you take a word that was so vile and so hated for so long in our history, and you make it sort of emblematic in something that's an anthem, and you revel in it, and you make music about it, and you use it, and you say it's an affectionate word, and yet someone like a Paula Deen can't use it because it's okay to use it as long as you're black, but if you're white, then you can't use it. I don't understand this. This is a crazy standard. If the word is offensive, if it's vulgar, if it's all those things, then nobody should use it. We should have the same standard for everyone.
Armstrong, when I first got out of college, I taught school in an inner city neighborhood. I was all of 20 years old. At that point, the kids used to throw that word around at each other all the time. And I was offended. And they would also use the word in a very, very derogatory sense toward any of their black teachers. They almost respected their white teachers more because they were white. And I remember thinking, this is all because it's a self-hatred, a feeling of inferiority about themselves that was so sad. And I just was amazed.
Don't you think
at
it
the use
reflected?
of the word.
Don't you think it reflected their parents also?
Reflective of what, their parents?
The household they grew up in.
Well, it must have been, but I think that whatever was it was reflective of, I think that it was a self-negating, a self-deprecatory feeling that they would use this word toward each other and also toward people in the school who had accomplished a great deal and become teachers, and they almost didn't like, not almost, they didn't like that. They resented that. And I just thought at that. Now, remember, I was only 20 years old at the time, so we're talking we're talking 1950.
You know, I tell
you, a lot
what,
has happened since then.
You know, when I used to be a big reader of Mark Twain and Charles Dickens.
Yes.
And they both created characters who used the word as contemporary usage. You remember Twain in his autobiographical book, Life on the Mississippi? He used the term within quotes indicating reported usage, but used the term Negro when speaking in his own narrative persona.
Yeah.
So which shows that even at this time he understood the potency of that word.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But he was, he was a great man. He was a smart man. And there are people who really have different intentions, but there are times that you have to draw the line and say, listen, this attempt to make it acceptable hasn't worked. Forget the word.
And the other thing that I was thinking of was the difference in those days when those children that I was teaching, who would fling this word around at each other and about other black people, and feeling that they were feeling so belittling themselves by doing it. I wonder, is that what's happening today when they fling the word around? Are they also belittling themselves?
Here's the interesting point, though, and this is why I'm so glad we're having this conversation together. They used to use these same pejorative, horrific terms towards Jews when they would use the K word.
Right, yeah.
But yet, you never hear anyone produce a song, these rap artists with lyrics about the K word. It's just totally off limit. It would never happen. What is the difference?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You know.
I haven't thought about that.
I mean, you can find some old songs written by Jewish composers that make fun of things that if non-Jewish composers wrote them, Jews might be very offended by. So you do have that same thing in common where, as we say, for the most part, African Americans do not wish to hear any white person use the N-word.
And I don't wish to hear any non-Jewish Jew use the K-word.
I don't either, but I think there have been people who did it.
Yeah, yeah.
There certainly have been plenty of Jewish people who have done it, who have used very offensive terms about Jews themselves. I don't want to hear that
not so much
either.
anymore. Yeah, yeah. But no. I think Armstrong, your point is well taken. You don't hear that now so much, and I'm not sure why.
I'll tell you why. I will tell you why.
Yeah.
Because when you have power, and a lot of your power reside in the entertainment industry, and you own the studios that produce this music, that is just something. That's just a line you're just not going to allow them to cross.
Yeah,
and so then they create these divisions where they give these black artists like JC and others divisions, and they create it, and they have free will to do whatever they want. Now, you can go and further corrupt and demonize your own race and your people, but we're not going to allow that to happen. When we draw the line here, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's probably largely been the case.
Well, they probably do it because it sells.
Yeah.
The question is, why does it sell?
But at what price? But at what price does it sell?
Why is this resonant among African American people?
Why does it? And why? Because you know what? Obviously, it doesn't make any sense to me. I just don't. And yet they can want Paula Deen fired from the Food Network, terminated from Walmart, and just have her punished. And yet they do worse. She was 30 years ago. They do worse.
Well.
And how does the media justify this double standard? If it's wrong, it's wrong.
I think because there are people doing worse doesn't mean that when you have the opportunity, you don't make an example and you don't take, it's not a monolith controlling everything that we hear, I believe. And so when you have someone doing what Paula Deen has done, and also her attitude and what she says in her apologies, I find as upsetting as what she said in the first place.
Explain that a little more.
I don't think it's acceptable.
Explain.
Well, for example, when you really listen to what she's saying, what is she so terribly, terribly sorry about? I heard her yesterday saying, "You don't know what I've been put through, how I have to comfort the people who love me because they feel so bad for me." That's not called apologizing. That's not getting it. She doesn't understand yet what was offensive.
I hate to say this.
What many people find offensive, and I do, is this notion that these were wonderful days in the South. This was a wonderful time, and her poor grandfather, he lost all his, she calls them workers, they were slaves.
Yes.
She can't even bring herself to use the word. They're always just these wonderful workers on his plantation. Baloney. They weren't wonderful workers on his plantation. They were human beings who were bought. What's so wonderful about that?
You know what? Here's the thing that bothers me, and I don't want to come off as to make this about class. There's just the what word do I want to use? Just the lack of sophistication. I mean, you're right when she mentioned how she has to patronize, have to comfort these poor people because they're so worried about me. And it's like, are you serious? Yeah. I mean, she doesn't even get it.
Right. That's the point.
She's so out of...
Yeah, go on.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to go back to when you said there's a double standard. Did you mean because Paula Deen is thrown off her contract,
Well,
And
Paula Dean should have a right to...
And the rappers are not.
They're celebrated and paid for it. If Paula Dean is going to lose her way of life, then everybody else should lose their way of life.
So you're saying that the rappers who persist in this kind of language, they too should be thrown off.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this guy, Lil Wayne, made this music about Emmett Till, and the family of Emmett Till became so upset because it was just a lie that Coca-Cola pulled his sponsorship. But why did he do it? He said because the studio encourages him to do this kind of stuff to sell music. We'll be back. Unbelievable.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
You know, as if it couldn't get any worse, have you all followed this story on the former New England Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez, who's been accused of killing a friend of his, this guy Odin Lloyd, shooting him execution style because he said he couldn't trust him any longer. And now they're saying that he may have murdered two other people. And now a drug ring was involved, where he was involved in selling drugs and had a marijuana habit and a long arrest record. And yet they cover this up and hide these stories about these athletes until they get in trouble. What is going on in this world?
Well, I know an awful lot of that happens that we don't.
These are thugs we're talking about.
They get covered up by very expensive PR firms and people who hold athletes in some special kind of consider them having a special kind of status that means they should be sacrosanct, and I think it's awful. I just think it's awful.
But how does this?
And I do understand too that with a lot of professional athletes, they are so spoiled by the adulation and by the early money that comes to them before they really know how to handle it. I think that it's a miracle sometimes that some of them turn out to be such good, decent people.
But how can you live the life of a thug, an executioner? A couple of people died. You shot one person, and he goes blind. How do you continue in the NFL and nobody knows your story? How does that happen?
Hard to
You know something bad is going to eventually happen.
Yeah.
And they keep allowing him to play. They keep telling him he's above the law.
Yeah.
Where are the adults?
Well, I think that the cover-up has to do with money. People are making money from this.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you another question back, because you've made me think about some things I never thought of before.
Oh, that's the way you do it, Armstrong.
Vice versa.
Well,
what you do to us every week.
Well, when you talk about the fact that rap, you said that I'm intrigued about this double standard that Paula Dean's many sponsorships are withdrawn from her, but they're not withdrawn from rappers who also.
Every other word is the N word. Every other word is the N word. In their videos is the N word.
Right. And drugs and violence to women and so many things that
unacceptable.
That we will not accept. Why do you think that happens? Do you think that there's something bad going on?
You want me to really answer? You want me to really answer that?
That they want to perpetrate this?
You really want me to answer that?
Perpetuate.
It's the soft bigotry of low expectations. They have soft bigotry of low expectations. They dumb down. They don't value their lives. They don't value their worth.
Yeah.
They look at the chaos that their communities are in. They make excuses for it. They will never make them accountable. The government keeps feeding them and continuing to feeding them, and they begin to accept it. Their lives are spiraling out of control. They have these babies out of wedlock in overwhelming numbers. They commit these crimes. They drop out of school. The inner city is like a war zone. They allow these people to come in with these drugs, but yet no man can come in the house unless they're cut off your paycheck, cut off any kind of financial assistance that you get for the government. What kind of program that would put anything in place that would make you choose money over a husband or a father?
Well, now, who is responsible for allowing the rappers who use this language?
We are. The consumers.
And their sponsorship is not withdrawn.
The consumers and the record executives.
The record executives.
And the consumers that buy this worthless, low valued, non-social redeeming trash.
Yeah.
It comes straight from the sewer.
And why is it tolerated?
Because nobody wants to offend them. Nobody wants to offend them because the black leadership comes to their defense and make excuses for them. The leadership allows it because it's a cottage industry for them. You keep them poor. You keep them knocked up with babies. You keep them dependent on affirmative action. You keep them dependent on welfare. And we can get government contracts because we say we can take care of them and solve the problem. Yet your money derives on them remaining poor and destitute.
Oh, gosh. Getting depressed, Armstrong.
Well, think about it. What other reason? If somebody wants to come in and tell you your children are destitute, they need to be saved, but yet you need them to be destitute in order for you to get paid, then you tell them, well, stay away, they're my kids. Well, that's the kind of power that these so-called leaders have on this community. You and I, we are free, we're independent. Nobody could use us and give us that kind of slow drug of destruction. We would never accept that, but it's been accepted for so long until it's become a way of life. It's a part of their culture. And we think nothing of it.
That's the one place. I mean, I think there are people who think nothing of it, but there are, I hope, more who are aware that this is a destructive.
Think about this.
Life.
Think about this. If whites were killing blacks in alarming numbers to where blacks kill each other in the inner city in urban America, black on black crime accounts for 92% of the deaths of black youth in this country. 80% of the crimes in this country are committed by blacks. If whites were killing blacks at the alarming number of blacks were killing blacks, what do you think would be happening in this country? You need to come out of denial. Think about it.
That's a really tough one. That's such a tough one. And
tough one is a fact. They've lowered the value of their expectations. They lowered the value of their lives, and they play into it.
The thing that makes it so terribly complicated, I think, to deal with is that no sweeping generalizations account for everything. And those of us, and I include myself because I do work with this community, and I know that Bobby does, and when I see examples week after week, when I go to the 6th Precinct Police District in Philadelphia, and I hear cases of kids who have been arrested in school, and I work with them, and I work as if I have to or can with their families. I see examples of what you're talking about, and I also see the other extreme of so many parents who are in the kinds of situations that you're talking about who are struggling to make it better for their kids.
What does struggling have to do with making sure that your children have value, making sure that they learn, they get an education, making sure that they respect education, letting them know that the school is not a place for guns, it's not a place for disruption, it's a sacred place to learn, making them understand that your best passport for a chance at success is through an education, and you've got to make the most of those years. We pass these kids because these schools get paid, and we just pass them to go along. You know that's exactly right. These kids are guinea pigs. They know they're not educating these kids, and then what happens when these kids graduate from high school and they go to college? They get a reality check when the professor tells them, are you kidding me? You're reading at a 6th grade level. You're doing math at a 3rd grade level. You know it's the truth.
I do.
They're crippling these children. They're crippling them.
Mm-hmm. I do believe it, and I know that what you say also is true because, as you say, who's telling them this at home? Who's telling them this at home, that they really have to do better, and they have to work at what we know they're every bit as capable of as everybody else. It's really, I've seen many kids, I've seen many African-American kids who have told me explicitly, look, I made the conscious decision that I would be a good student, and it was a tough decision for some of them. And why was it tough? Because they knew they might get beaten up on the way home from school by their classmates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By their classmates.
Yeah. It's a risk that they take. To be a
take
good student is a risk. Yeah.
But how crazy is that? How crazy is it?
It's crazy, all right. It's crazy, but it's true. It does happen all the time. It's happening every day to a lot of these kids. And
no one says nothing. And these kids are paying the price for it because the adults won't step up and be honest about the situation. There is no reason a child should go from kindergarten to 12th grade and graduate and can't read their diploma.
You said it. I couldn't agree more. That's been my work and Bobby's too for so many years. Is in the field of literacy, and it's just deplorable. We're crippling people. I have a tiny ray of hope with the internet in that I think for many kids that I've seen, I am very, very thrilled when anybody tells me as these kids come through the police station.
Just hold there. We're coming
There's
back.
no-
Dr. Reese, Dr. Fleischer, we'll come back. Don't go away. The phone lines are open.
Say bye-bye burgers, pass on the pizza, forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Cross's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, oxtail, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean. Only at a Golden Cross near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrossBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And you know, I'm going to take this, I'm going to really go off the chain here because we have two incredible educators in our presence, and this is such a substantive show. We've covered so many topics. I've got to go here. You know, America's public schools system is just a disaster. Last week on our serious show, we had a young man called in at night and was listening to the show, and I was talking about how kids graduate with honors, number 1 and number 2 in their class, and they go off to college and they realize they can't keep up with the coursework because they're reading on a 5th or 4th grade level. And this kid called in and said he was one of those kids, and he went home that night and he just cried. He cried. And you know what? This is not an uncommon occurrence. In fact, it is typical. Let me state it. State and federal funding for schools is determined by how many kids pass, graduate, as well as score on these standardized and sometimes ridiculous tests. Administrators are pressed to pass poor students to ensure funding. And this is not black and white now. We're moving out of the territory of black and white. We're moving to all Americans. Teachers are pressured to go along and to teach the test. Kids know they will be promoted to the next grade, so they choose the path of least resistance. And what are we setting up for life? The path of least resistance. So you're left with a multitude of young adults that are not prepared for higher education or the workforce because they were never held accountable. Do you know what that is? Being held accountable? There is plenty of blame to go around. We can start by looking at the failures of two groups, and then I'm going to let my guests interject.
Listen.
Politicians and families. Politicians are always talking about their commitment to ensuring our children's future, and many truly want to help reform education. However, they also know that if they kowtow to the latest educational fad, they can get enough concerned parents to vote for them. And these election cycles create this notoriously short-term view in officials, and as such, most education reforms start with good intentions, but are not viable long-term solutions. And we end up...
Armstrong, this is so true.
And what happens is we end up...
I can give you
I'm gonna let you give me examples. I'm gonna let you give me examples. I got a little further to go. We end up with these policies that focus on passing tests rather than understanding material, and curriculums built around self-esteem and anti-bullying instead of math or science, which is insanity. And funding was tied to the student achievement, and to encourage these administrators and teachers to make institutions more accountable and successful, it would be different. And then the other thing is the children's best interests become secondary. We're creating this cascading effect throughout the public school systems. Teachers scrap the original lesson plans in order to teach skills that should already be known. And so they're forced to spend more time with lagging students and slow down the class schedule. The other kids become restless and simply undisciplined, and Dr. Fleischer would lose those two. Dr. Reese?
Well, let me say, first of all, you lose me with anything that doesn't emphasize anti-bullying, because believe me, the suicide rate among kids in school and beyond is unforgivable.
But it should not be the only emphasis. But you should focus on math and science also.
Not to address in school how to be a citizen, and that includes being a citizen in your classroom and respecting other people, is short-sighted and stupid of us. But beyond that, about the content, let me say this. We're not going to fix everything today, but I think that in your listening community right now, if everybody listening to this program thinks about a kid not just in their own family, any kid they know, to be a friend to be a mentor to read with, to talk with, to have real conversations and not just shouting things or telling a kid what to do, but actually engaging them in conversation is going to be part of the cure. Because it's true, I think the public school systems are in such disarray, they're pathetic, and it has to do a lot with politics and about not listening to people who know something about education instead. But and getting rid of everything as soon as the fad is over, and then starting over again, and always throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But if every person, you don't have to have a college degree yourself, but if you know how to read and you like to read, pass it on to a kid.
John, you have a comment.
Yes, thank you for taking my call, enjoying the program, enjoying your panelists. Well, my comment has something to do with a question that was asked to you a few minutes ago by your panelists. I'm not sure. I don't remember the question because I had to run inside. But I heard your answer, and I wanted to agree with you. You were saying that we are the blame, and I think it has something to do with the rappers and the material that they were offering. But anyway, it reminded me of what happened at the GOP convention and the Clint Eastwood moment where he was talking through the chair and all of this, and there was an outrage among a lot of us about that, and we were ready to boycott a movie that was coming out shortly after that moment. And my question was, why were we so willing to boycott Clint Eastwood's movie, a man whom he was just giving his political views, but yet still rappers have been disrespecting, women and their own race for all these years, that we're not ready to boycott them.
Excellent point.
And I'll hang up and listen.
Why? Because it's politically correct to boycott Clint Eastwood because it makes you feel good. because it obviously and it doesn't require much. But the
Well,
boycott rappers,
critical, though.
oh yeah, the boycott rappers, it requires something. And many people doesn't have the guts and the gumption to boycott them because too many are in the bed with them and take their money and make them feel like superstars, and it encourages them to create the more of this garbage that they put out.
Yeah, but we're the consumers, and the power lies within us. So if we want to get these rappers who constantly disrespect women and their race, then the power of the green is the thing that that either encourages them to do it, or if we don't buy their material, discourages them from doing it. So I mean, it's been going on for years, and I have a personal boycott with a lot of these rappers and movie stars that disrespect their own race myself. So, but like I say, I just think it's hypocritical that we don't do that. I think charity begins at home, and we need to do it among ourselves before we talk about doing it to members of other races.
You know, you just said something, because let me tell you, when I was growing up, my parents taught me responsibility, to treat others as you would like to be treated, to respect my elders, and work hard to make something of myself. They formed the core being of my brothers, sisters, and myself. And when I went to school, these values shaped how I acted in the classroom and pursued my studies. My parents expected me to do my best. In turn, I expected to do my best. My teachers simply had to direct me towards and feed me the knowledge and skills I would need to succeed.
Right.
It was just that simple. Additionally, and apparently, those duties are beyond many parents today, John, as they have demanded teachers become surrogate mothers and fathers.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. Dr. Fleisch, it's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work. And that, by the way, was my question. Why are these rappers and the songs and the values that they perpetuate, why are they not? Why are they? I guess it's because people continue to buy their stuff. I mean, you say we shouldn't consume it, we should boycott, but who should do that?
Those of us that still care. Any of us can do it. And you
know
what?
But I think it needs an organizer.
Listen.
It needs somebody to organize the boycott.
All it takes is one person to say, you know what? I'm sick of this. I paid too great of a price for it. We're going to shut this down. And they'll change. Somebody just has...
Nobody's doing it.
Somebody has to step up.
Why is nobody doing it? If so many are offended by it, why is nobody doing it?
Because the media and those that are all in bed together, they protect them.
Yes, they do.
They protect them.
Yeah.
And they don't even discuss the damage, the damage that these lyrics do to these kids. Look at the behavior they act out from these lyrics. John, thank you for calling. And you can see it in the classroom. You can see it in the jailhouses.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't separate.
And what are teachers supposed to do when these are the kids they get? You know, when you say how you went to school and how we all went to school, you didn't go home and say, my teacher said so-and-so, and then your parents will go to school and say, how dare you say that to my child? Which is the case often today.
I used to say to my kids, it's not up to your teacher to get along with you. It's up to you to get along with your teacher.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, how revolutionary.
Right. But that's what that's what they heard.
I know. It's true. This is true. And pity the poor teacher today who isn't prepared to have a really hostile meeting with the parent who thinks that her child has somehow been offended because they were told they were wrong. It's pretty scary teaching a class today. And I don't just mean in a tough neighborhood. I mean that this is a pretty pervasive attitude.
You know, we're still in trouble. It's just sad. We know what the problem is, but somebody's got to step up and create a movement.
Yeah. I agree.
They got to create. You know what? This is always a joy, and I got to tell you, I don't know how we do it weekend, but we do. And I mean, this is a very provocative, substantive discussion today.
Yeah.
And I thank you.
Armstrong, I don't know how you come up with these things every week
because we care.
Make us get out there, and whether we agree or disagree with whatever you bring up, it's making us think.
Yes, you got to think beyond the box. Thank you, Dr. Reese. Thank you, Dr. Flashes. Enjoy it until we do this again. Take care, everybody.